private, not in individual people. I would like to cheer up their work as a group, as a club or something, working together, and they can create a workshop near the pottery site, and that is working together, share the folder and bring the history or story related with the historical site, and to do something together is a create job, create a story, and create activity, and also create new product by the local community. This is I mean. But also the individual or the private sector can create some link with the historical. For example, goldsmith, and they have their design related with the one temple, and they can bring that design link with the temple, and also they can create some product like a t-shirt product, screening and represent about that story. That is when I talking about the encourage people to participate, not just like build a new physical thing, but they build a sense of ownership, sense of a part of the area, and create new activity, create new product, or create new service from the community and for tourists, and also not forget about the young generation. And I think this we need to link a young generation with the heritage site. If they have a good memory, even they educate here or go to study in Bangkok, and if they have a good memory related, not only their community related with the heritage, they can bring their expertise and create new jobs here.
Thank you. Ivan, spice up a little bit.
Really quick. Since Lynn brought up the example of Bigan, to those of you who do not know, Bigan is a colonial city north of Manila. It's about 8 hours. As an example for community development, now I'm not really sure what was the who was the one who actually initiated the whole World Heritage listing for Sukhothai. Was it private or government? But as far as I know, in Bigan, the whole conservation of that old colonial town was largely in part by the private sector, so meaning the local community, of course, and with their partners in the big cities like Manila. And that eventually, that push came from that, that listing came from that sector, and that is what essentially made the local government look at their neighborhood, their own neighborhood, when that listing was given to Bigan in 1999. So the way I see it now, from what I gathered now, the way things work in Bigan, in a very quick explanation, is that a lot of the things are started by the local communities within, and then the government support goes in, but when need be, then of course, there are certain things that the government really have to take care of, but a lot of the initiatives start with the local community themselves. And then essentially, I guess what we're trying to say is the local community who's trying to push the government to do what they're supposed to do. And to the credit of the local government, they're actually doing a lot better than other places in our country. So that's probably a parallel to an example.
Suzanne, yes, please. Oh, Ahmed and Suzanne, sorry.
I want about the sense of community. I will talk about my area. Before the 40s, there are the communities are known. They're both there was a lot of alliance between them and cooperation and etc. etc. But within the 40 years, they left the original places and they went to new cities, and at the new cities, people live as strangers. Hardly there is the old connection as it used to be. And they still have their alliance to their old areas. Some of who get well in the new areas, now they start go back to their original homes, and they conserving it and protecting it and keeping the heritage. There is, you can say it's like a trend spreading. Those who are out left, they return to heritage and they conserve back their properties, and this will spread over. There is a trend to have development, some craft near them, some houses turn to cultural center and facilities surround them. It is a moving now. And also with the democratization, there is now most of the Gulf countries, they have municipal councils, and the municipal councils are elected by the people, and each member has his constituency, several small towns or several or part of a city. Through his voters, they pressure on him to move the community. But it depends on the people and their awareness and what the priority they would have. But through this democratization, there is a feel that lighting in the streets getting better, some gardens within the local communities start to be established, and the urban quality is getting better through this process. Yes. Sometimes still you need to kind of educate the council members about their roles they can play. Sometimes they waste their time in something, sometimes they compete with each other, sometimes in conflict, which is slow the process, but I see the overall it is getting better.
Thank you. That's really interesting. Anyone else want to come in? Suzanne.
We heard a comment a minute ago about how we were becoming a little too academic. So I'm going to take a simple solution approach for just one quick idea, and that is the concept of play. Yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before, I went on the pottery tour with Eve and Anne and Asham. And we had clay, and the thought comes to mind, one night a week, one evening a week, with all of the cultural knowledge in Sukhothai, have one person at the site and set up an evening for play. So one night they get a block of clay and they shape their own small vessel or their own small tray. The next night they have paints and they color the facade of a temple. They have a coloring book template. They color with paint or with crayons. The next night you have a senior elder talk about Sukhothai as the royal kingdom. I'd love to hear somebody tell me what it was like as the royal kingdom, because I really only know what I've read on the internet. The next night, have someone do a dance demonstration. Have one of your beautiful dancers, both a man and a woman, come and give us a short 20-minute lesson on how to dance, and then everybody gets to dance and play. Another night, have somebody with the lotus flower and explain, what is the lotus flower, what is the importance of it, and how do you fold it to make it look open and beautiful. And what's the connection to the temple design at the top of the temple? Why is the lotus bud so important to Thai culture? So that's just 5 different examples right there, just off the top of my head. But what I want to get back to for the community is this concept of play and how people come here to experience Sukhothai in its own special way in something that's going to be very fun.
I'm sorry. We need to close this in about 5 to 10 minutes too. And that is a very good example. If you have some more, I believe that the next room is waiting to listen to. Maybe it's a bit, just a rough idea, but this is very touching about the young, how to educate, how to motivate the young people to continue, the heritage.
And I'm an older person and I want to play. So everybody, everybody wants to play.
Catherine, can I just make a contribution? That's wonderful, list of wonderful activities. But 2 things. When I arrived at Sukhothai, I said Lego. It looked like a Lego set to me. My immediate reaction was a learning centre near the site with various activities inside the World Heritage Site. It is allowed, and you can have a very attractive learning centre, appoint somebody for that learning centre to actually build up activities and build it up for children who are school age in the holidays if their curriculum doesn't allow them to come, for mothers if they're free, and then for older people, and then groups of people with disabilities who are very bored a lot of the time. So by that way, through a learning centre and activity basis, I've done this. You have to program well. They won't turn up all the time. You'll get lots of no-shows. But once the commitment's there, you'll find a few will come loyally every week. And if you do exciting activity in the woods, my other immediate thing was you can do outdoor activities as well. After all, if you can have bikes riding through the main monuments, you can do activities with, worked out fully in advance, activities for children. And observation activities, photography activities, iPhone activities, Facebook activities, all that, Facebook sites, all that will engage the community. And next room, does that help?
That help? Any other suggestions or examples, Okay, Celia.
Hello? But it's not really a suggestion, it's just I'm worried about one thing that maybe we as an experts could try to go forward in our next meeting. I'm afraid that we are doing everything for communities but without communities. And for example, another interesting activity that I would like to see, or maybe, I don't know how they could do this, but I would like to know, which is the concept of heritage for communities. In Spain, we don't know anything about what these people think about heritage. We have laws, experts, meetings, but we don't know about this concept. So maybe that could be also an interesting activity with communities that we could push, that is, think about which is your heritage. And then we could maybe disseminate it and it would be quite good. Thank you.
Bruno and Ivan, same with Julia. So I think everything is already there. We believe good governance is good, community should be involved in the process, part of the stakeholders. But we haven't yet tell the community that they are in the process. That's the problem. And they are here and they are there. Okay, it's okay because it's your trick to make them say something. But we need to tell them information is very important. And of course, we need approach to make them know. Susan already say something about approach, funding approach, and another thing. Already have also different approaches. But information, community needs information in order they can involve in the process.
This is just an add-on to what Celia mentioned. Perhaps I don't know who would do this, I would assume it's Karen. We could also reassess the values of the World Heritage Listing and explain it in very layman terms to the very community itself, because it's been around for 20 years. And I assume all the locals know that, but knowing is different from understanding. And understanding and valuing the whole concept. Perhaps by explaining to them through an information drive or something that will make them understand, they will realize it at a deeper level, and from there take action in that capacity.
Use less of jargon, right?
Yes,
less technical
jargon,
yeah.
very everyday Thai language.
And then I think we need to wrap up, then Lynn and come back to Sid.
One practical thing that could be done is because very few foreigners speak the Thai language or read the Thai language, they really depend on guides to help them connect with place. Really what we're talking about with tourists, think of them as visitors, guests, who want to learn about this very special place. How can they do that if they don't have the language? So, really they need guides. Training for guides is crucial, so that guides understand how important they are in communicating the values of this place and this people and this community to the people who are visiting it. And that means preparing also materials for tour operators, so that the messages that you want to say about Sukhothai and Sisa Chanalai and the side to the south and the places in between are actually given to each of the tour operators, the companies who work in this region. Because I have sat in tours where the guides invent their stories. You want to have control over the stories. That is very important, and that means a lot of work at local level between local people and the agencies.
And just briefly from Patricia down there, she just needs us to remind of what Tim Curtis from UNESCO says about the UNESCO program of the community guide training program. That might be a very concrete suggestion, just one among many. Yes, okay, good. And good.
Short summary. That was a very interesting discussion. The flight into academia was quite interesting because, in fact, it was very important because it brought out a couple of issues that has actually come up. They both have come up. One, nobody quite knows what they mean by interpretation. We've had all sorts of interpretations today. Second, the role of the tourist, because the role of the tourist actually helps to shape how people see themselves as a resident in a place. Resident rather than community, because that word again is in your heads differently for each person. And with this relationship with communities, we were talking about it at lunchtime with Tim Badman, because it was very, very important, and with Dasta. And I had another word afterwards with some other people. And what we agreed was that you can't go straight into tour guiding because they actually haven't got a self-awareness of their own cultural heritage. So the ideas that came up were wonderful from a number of people. And your ideas, because you're working in it locally, were particularly valuable. And the next thing was, once you've got this awareness training, because awareness of who you are, what you are, where you are, is always in relation to somebody. Now Maria calls it co-creation, and I understand exactly what you mean. I put it into my more prosaic language and call it a relationship. And that I don't learn about myself, particularly, you see it with teenagers, they learn about themselves by having fights with each other and going out with different people and different groups of friends, and then they absolutely hate them 2 weeks later. That's how they learn about themselves, not about the other person. It's the same for learning about heritage or understanding it better, because they'll have a lot of knowledge, they don't know it's important. So the next thing is the guide training. And UNESCO in Bangkok have a very successful system set up. They have a whole train the trainers, a guide program, and it's specific to each place, which I think is very, very important. And the idea is the tour guide arrives, hands over their group to the local guide. So there's no external tour guide on site. I celebrate that hugely, and I'm sure everyone here would as well. The other thing is they accredit that training. And accredited training is what the young people want, because it means even if they don't stay in tour guiding, they can move on. And in tour guiding, it doesn't have to be the young, it can be the old. It can be the middle-aged, it can be the people who want something to do at the weekend because they're lonely. There's lots of opportunities to involve, engage communities in that kind of work. And it helps with their own self-worth, their own communication skills. But again, you can't just give them a script and expect them to do it. It requires them having communication skills and the kind of encounters that you want them to have with the visitors. And then again, it has to be monitored to be successful. So all those layers cost money and time. And if it's not money, it's time. So I think what we've all said, and the planning side I found very interesting as well, because it's how they make a mark on the decision making. Nothing, and I think you said it too, nothing with communities is quick fix. We cannot have a quick fix with community development. And any strategy would have to be 5 years minimum, and you won't achieve all of it, whatever it is. And that's all I'd say.
Thank you, Sue. I think that's the end of the session. And actually, we have 2 comments from the next room, and the next session will be the conclusion or recommendation or way forward. What are we going to do with all of this materials? And the Ecomos Thailand, we need to come with a closing remark. But these 2 questions from 2 comments from the next room is very, very relevant with that, conclusion and recommendation and closing remarks. These 2 are, first, this person said that Sukhothai is a World Heritage, but I am a committee member and I don't know what to do